dungeon masters think that scaring players means more monsters and harder fights. But fear doesn't come from hit points. The scariest dungeon doesn't need a single monster, because fear comes from building tension with the unknown. And today, I'll show you how to make your dungeons terrifying through nightmares, broken mechanics, stolen strategies, and things that creep in through the senses using these 9 tricks. I'll link a free quick reference sheet for you in the description. Because the scariest dungeon isn't the one they see. It's the one they can't fully grasp. Rule number 1, incorporate nightmares. What do your players fear in real life? For me, it's losing control. I've had sleep paralysis a handful of times, and it's the most terrifying 2 minutes of my life. My brain is awake, but my body won't move. And I always sense a presence in the room. I can't see them, but I can sense them watching and waiting. Why are they here? What do they want? Am I still in the dream, or is my subconscious trying to warn me of actual physical danger? When dreams blend with reality and I can't tell, I panic and fight my way to consciousness to confirm what I don't know. Nightmares are powerful because even nonsense feels real. Use that. Blur the line between dream and dungeon. Pull imagery from their backstories. A loved one's face melting. A divine symbol turning black. A childhood toy whispering threats. Think of helpless dream logic. Running with lead-heavy limbs while something gains. Falling into endless voids. Doors vanish when closed. Maps redraw themselves. A hallway loops endlessly. Even shadows misbehave, lagging behind or bending towards them. In the sleep paralysis nightmare, your body won't move while danger looms near. You can reframe this into a room where shadows wrap around players like ropes. Their characters are awake but restrained. That's when fear settles in. And once they're unsettled, rip away their safety net. How would you describe that nightmare at your table? Drop your version below. I'd love to steal it. Once their dreams betray them, the rules themselves should too. Rule number 2, break the rules. Players trust mechanics. When players know how everything works mechanically, it creates a safe space for them. Take that away by warping the mechanics. Borrow elements of your favorite games and reshape them into something new. In my games, I strip away vision. They can't trust what they see, only sound, smell, and touch. Air shifts, the scrape of stone under fingertips. Every choice suddenly feels dangerous. That chaos, that's what they feel when the rules betray them. But what if the strategies they depend on suddenly don't work anymore? Rule number 3, take away familiar strategies. For me, the scariest part of blindness is disorientation. Without depth perception, a drop could be 2 feet or 20. Lose orientation and suddenly you're stranded in open space with no anchor, no escape. It's scary because vision is gone and every step feels uncertain. Here's a few examples of how you can flip this moment into adventuring tension. Create a dungeon trap where a shifting floor or tilting platform causes them to misjudge their orientation. What they thought was safe footing is actually empty air. A sloping tunnel might pull them imperceptibly towards a sheer drop-off into an underground river. Echoes could betray them, bouncing in the wrong direction until they're either walking in circles or straight into danger. Even air currents, normally a lifeline for orientation, might twist, leading them towards poisonous air pockets or unstable ground. Twist the dungeon with illusions, mimic terrain that isn't what it seems, and lean on environmental uncertainty. Then, call for perception checks to raise the tension. It works because fear doesn't come from monsters. It comes from urgency, pressure, and uncertainty, because either the environment or the NPCs rush your players into decisions before they've had a chance to orient themselves. You can spin that into a powerful game design trick by taking away time to prepare and forcing choices without clear orientation. Every room and hallway tells a story. Use slopes up and down to indicate certain hallways and room entrances. Airflow and temperature shifts also tell us a lot about the size and shape of the room. But the thing that makes players really panic is when they can't figure out what they're fighting. Rule number 4, reskin the familiar. Players know goblins and skeletons by heart, so twist them. Give your goblin fur, fangs, and a tail with clawed tips. When you change their physical traits and movement, your players need to come up with a strategy to fight it on the fly. That's one of the things that keeps combat exciting. As a blind DM, I don't see fine details, so I only describe shapes and forms, and that means the players can't read the monster's mood. Is it curious? Or is it hunting? That not knowing is where dread lives. Let your players discover some of the monster's details in play. For example, they know the monster has a tail, but maybe it waits till the very last second to extend its claws. So your players won't know until they get hit with a claw attack. Limit what your players can read by describing only forms. In play, you might say, its head tilts, but you can't tell if it's in curiosity or hunger. Build fear from uncertainty by delaying the intent and taking away reads. If the monster makes sound, describe it in a way that's hard to interpret. You could say, it emits a low growl, but you can't tell if it's warning you away or winding up to pounce. You can make vulnerability the horror engine by highlighting what they don't know. You can tell it's fixated on you, but you can't tell if it's getting ready to strike. Not having reliable information makes actions risky. In one of my games, a chalice spawned monsters when fed blood. Mine birthed a live humanoid which strangled victims with its hair. We almost never saw it, just the corpses it left. When we finally confronted it, the fight was memorable because it was more difficult than we expected, and we had to retreat to come up with a plan before we could defeat it. What's the creepiest monster you've ever reskinned? Put it in the comments and give the rest of us nightmares. And if you want your monster to hold its power, never reveal its name. Rule number 5, leave monsters unnamed. When you name it, your players know exactly what to expect. The second you say troll, your players know the cheat code. Fire and acid. Don't name it. Just describe what doesn't add up. Its limbs are too long. The skin cracks like wood. The attacks don't land right. They'll second guess every move. Let your descriptions carry the fear, and let your players figure out how to fight it through trial and error. That fear, that's what you want them to feel. And it's even scarier when the monster leaves clues but remains hidden, leaving our imaginations to invent something even more terrifying. Rule number 6, telegraph horror with the senses. The scariest moment isn't when the monster arrives. It's when something is wrong and unseen. You can use sound, smell, and touch to telegraph the danger before it arrives. Sight isn't the first thing I rely on, so when a sound, smell, or touch doesn't add up, it jumps out. A chain rattles, then stops. Water drips like footsteps. A familiar voice calls your name, but warped, too low. Take a harmless detail, then repeat it or distort it. Players will sense something's off without you telling them outright. Feeling breath is one of the most intimate and alarming cues when you can't see detail. You can use it to telegraph the monster's proximity without showing it. Use breath to confirm that something alive is close, but don't reveal where. Your players will panic trying to locate it. Even smells can signal dread, and they often warn me of danger before others notice. Drop smell in right before combat. The sharp tang of blood in the air suggests that something has died, been wounded, or maybe something's hunting. You can use this technique by holding the monster back. Let the wrong sounds, smells, and brushes build, and only when your players are tense do you reveal it. Think in layers. First, introduce the sensory cue. Next, let your players react and investigate. By the time they see it, they're already afraid. But what if the dungeon was the monster? Rule number 7, make the dungeon monstrous. Imagine a dungeon that could trigger traps, lock doors, and talk to you as easily as your best friend. And it's trying to kill you. The walls feel wrong. Slimy stone, glowing fungus, floors that pulse like a heartbeat. Door handles sear your fingertips or yank away as though they're alive. What would you do if the walls themselves started breathing? When acid begins to rise, filling the room, that's when you realize you're inside a mimic. The dungeon is whispering, and it knows you're here. Here's how to incorporate this technique into your dungeon. Give your dungeon a character sheet and make it your main villain. Write down its motives, fears, quirks, and weaknesses. Maybe it feeds on blood. Maybe it's jealous of intruders. Maybe it wants to play. Build a secret your players can discover. Is this dungeon part of a bigger creature? Bound by a cult? A prison for something worse? Replace random encounters with lair actions. Every few rounds or minutes, the dungeon acts on its own. Corridors rearrange. The floor tilts or ripples. A ceiling lowers. Use the same rhythm you would apply to a dragon's lair actions, but instead, apply it to the environment. Describe sensations, not just visuals. Instead of you see slime, say, your hand sticks to the wall as if the stone itself is swallowing you. Instead of the floor shakes, say, a pulse thuds beneath your boots, as though you're standing on the chest of something alive. This helps to build dread. Control your pacing with the dungeon's intent. If the dungeon is curious, it might let the players wander. If it's angry, every corridor closes off options. If it's playful, traps reset behind them like it's hurting them somewhere. Foreshadow the reveal. At first, your players will assume that the dungeon is just another backdrop for slaying monsters. Start with small cues, whispers in the walls. Then escalate. The floor opens suddenly like a gaping mouth. Don't tell them outright. Let your players piece it together. When they realize the truth, they panic, because now the monster has them, and it's not letting go without a fight. I realize this example is a bit different than the others because it's standalone and not something you can easily slip into a generic dungeon. But I've always wanted to do a deeper dive on this. So if you want me to make that video in the future, drop Mimic Dungeon in the comments. But true horror comes from true events. Rule number 8, delay the payoff. When I build a dungeon, I pull from real life because what you can't see is always scarier. Have you ever walked face first into a cobweb? Sighted folks see it right away, no big deal. Wash your hands and face, you're done. But with low vision, I don't get that instant reassurance. The questions linger. Is it gone? Am I safe? I'll never forget the time I shoved my whole hand through a spider web. Sticky strands clung to my skin. I scrubbed them off. Relief. And then I felt tiny legs skittering down my arm. A black and white blur crawled across my wrist. I couldn't see its legs, couldn't read its demeanor, couldn't tell if it would bite. Panic. I plunged my hands back under the faucet, desperate to be sure it was gone. That tension builds, and that's where horror lives. Leave some questions unanswered and give your players something to worry about. Uncertainty breeds fear. Here's how that could work in your dungeon. First, the setup. Your players are traveling through a dim cavern. Sticky webs catch in their armor. Let them clean themselves off. They'll feel safe. Finally, the payoff. Tiny spiderlings have hatched and now swarm all over them, drawing in the much larger mother. The core technique is to give a gross or unsettling sensory cue, then let them dismiss it with relief. Then bring it back later, but worse. When you finally reveal the monster, it will double the impact and hit way harder, especially when paired with the right music. Rule number 9. Use mood music. Music bypasses reason and slams into emotion. Use it to foreshadow, a theme that always plays before a monster appears, or a lullaby fractured into something corrupt. Silence, sudden volume shifts, looping tracks that never resolve. These manipulate expectation and unsettle on instinct. Think of your dungeon like a film score, where the soundtrack tells your players what words never could. I build worlds from sound alone. Shift the tone with drums, strings, bells, or single piano notes, and you've just cut to a new scene without saying a word. Here's what that could look like in your game. To create the jump scare effect, set the scene with soft, peaceful music. Just as the players are starting to relax, spring the ambush or reveal the monster with a crash of strings or dissonant chords. You can use this same contrast to create a variety of moods and effects. The key here is to lull them into a false sense of security, so when the volume suddenly spikes, no one is expecting it. When done right, these techniques don't just scare your players, they trap them into an experience they'll never forget. Want 2 description tricks that hook your players instantly? Click here to find out how you can use the same techniques that blind gamers use to improve your scene and monster descriptions without any extra prep. Tell me in the comments which one of these 9 tricks would terrify your table. Remember to check the description for my socials, grab my free resource, and I will see you in the next adventure.